Iranian Revolutionary Guards commander was killed in a strike at the Iraq-Syria border. The commander is yet to be identified, but reports indicate that he was killed alongside 3 other men who were traveling with him in a vehicle. It is believed that the strike happened last week and the vehicle was carrying weapons across the Iraqi border and was hit after it had entered Syrian territory. Reports further add that Iran-backed Iraqi paramilitary troops helped retrieve the bodies, and the incident is likely to further escalate tensions in West Asia. It comes just days after Iranian nuclear scientist Mohsen Fakhrizadeh was assassinated in Tehran in a killing that Iran has now blamed on Israel. Recently, Israel launched air raids against what it called a wide range of Syrian and Iranian targets in Syria, signaling that it will pursue its policy of striking Iranian targets in the region as US President Donald Trump prepares to leave office. Iran and the militia that it has been backing are still reeling from the assassination of top Iranian commander Qasem Soleimani earlier this year.
Double honors unto the elders and apostles of Great Millstone. Peace and blessings to the hopeful elect. Prayers go out to the Akim and Akwath, the brothers and sisters out in the UK. May Yahweh Shah shield and guide you in this turbulent time. This is your brother Dawud Dab Managan. Just to make sure you're up to speed, to be honest, you should have already seen or heard tell of it. I know one of the elders made mention of it, but for those of you not in the know, mainstream media has been unsurprisingly hush-hush about it anyway. A senior commander of Iran's Revolutionary Guard was killed by a drone strike days after Iran's top nuclear scientist was assassinated. Iranian officials are singling out Israel and the Mujahideen of Iraq, called MEK, with the support of course, warmonger Mike Pompeo and the U.S. as the culprits. For those of you who have saw my last videos on the subject, this is another step closer to that final day of judgment. I'll add a link to the article in the description box. Pursuant to Ezekiel 38, let's read it. This is Ezekiel 38 verse 7, and it reads, Be thou prepared, and prepare for thyself thou, and all thy company that are assembled unto thee, and be thou a guard unto them. Those familiar with the breakdown, Russia has an economic interest in the so-called Middle East. Their relationship with Turkey remains tenuous meaning strained at best. But there still remains the BRICS nations, India, China, and of course there's Iran. And so consequently, up until recently, Russia was inclined to protect those smaller nations with their interests in mind, of course, being they looked the most diplomatic and gained the most support and leadership from those said nations. But what you're seeing play out is essentially infighting, because Amalek is helping Amalek strengthen their position of power. You have to understand the UN General Assembly vote in 1947 that supported the division of Palestine, leading to the creation of the State of Israel, would have never happened without the then Soviet Union and Moscow advocating on the behalf of the Zionist movement. Zionism is originally a movement for the reestablishment and now the development and protection of the so-called Jewish nation, what is now present-day Israel. You've also got to consider the 15% of Israel's population is Russian, and they are the highest Jewish minority. Couple that with the fact that Russian-speaking Jews are highly credited with being integral in the shaping of the now state of Israel in all facets of government, defense and security, business and industry, medicine, science and research, etc. You realize that Russia has a more deep-rooted interest in the well-being of Israel than their leadership or the MSM lets on. No matter how much condemnation or public ridicule you'll see by one government of the next in the mainstream media, as I stated, Putin has given Israel the okay to attack Iran and Syria, pretty much meaning Amalek has given Amalek the okay to admonish, really antagonize the Carmanians, which we know in the scriptures is the Iranians, the modern-day Iranians, pursuant to 2nd Esdras, the 15th chapter, which will rile up the dragons of Arabia, increasing the possibility of conflict, leading to an all-out and full-scale war. I'm almost certain in my last breakdown I attributed Assyria in verse 30 to America. Let me go on record and make the correction now. It's speaking of the land of Syria. In any event, we know it really won't start to cook until Yahweh puts the spirit on Putin whosoever is in Russian leadership to wage war on the U.S. Matter of fact, let's get that verse. This is Ezekiel chapter 38, verse 10, and it reads, Thus saith the Lord power, Yahweh, it shall also come to pass that at the same time shall things come into thy mind, and thou shalt think an evil thought. Speaking to Magog in that chapter, who are the Russians today, again, a spirit will be put on the Russian leadership to destroy Babylon, aka America, triggering Woe 3. In any event, let's I'm going to keep this pretty short. I really wanted to bring out a quick testimony, if you will, just to show you how the Holy Spirit is working. So, night before last, I'm on the phone with my woman friend from the south of the border, whom I haven't spoken to in months. So, needless to say, we're on the phone for a minute, talking about everything and anything underneath the sun, the real name of the Lord and his son, pork chop preach, and hell you catch in the industry, and how those outside of it swears it's all glamour and glitz, yada, yada, yada. Cardi B being named Woman of the Year by Billboard. I'm still on the floor with that one. Tell me the Most High ain't got an ill sense of humor. Anywho, during the whole time in the background, I can hear what sounds like a clerk typist hard at work. Now, my demon swears she couldn't hear it. I myself just blocked it out and paid it no never mind. So hours passed, we started talking about cornbread because she makes the ill cornbread, and then it stops. I can't hear her speaking to me anymore, and there's no more typing. So I say to her, if she's still speaking, I can't hear you, so I'm gonna hang up and I'll call you back. So I hang up and look at the phone. When I look at how long we've been talking before the line was interrupted, it says 414, which has been a reoccurring theme in the last little while for myself and anyone I know who is of the hopeful elect. Long story medium, I call her back, we finish up, and that's that. So I get up in the morning and step out to go to my, let's call it a scheduled appointment. As I'm walking up the block, crossing the street, I see what I think is a plane. I'm getting closer thinking, ain't most flights grounded? And this thing, it's glowing, beginning to shimmer and doing things that defy the the normal characteristics of an aircraft. It's getting closer and closer to the sun. Then it just up and disappears as if it was never there. I mean, I'm scanning the sky and it's just gone. When I got off the phone the night before, I remember saying to Miss Cornbread, damn grandma, damn grandma put her foot in that cornbread. Inside joke. And my woman friend chimed in full agreement. I don't care. This is what I said. I said, I don't care who's listening, be it the feds, Pope Piggity, whoever. There is a hedge around us, and we are under the protection of Yahweh Hashem Yahweh Shah. So nothing goes down unless the Most High says so. Now, when that IFO disappeared and went on its merry way, you know what I said to myself? Now, speaking of my protection, stay steadfast, remain circumspect, pray without ceasing, Yashar Allah. Most importantly, pray that the Lord keeps you in the faith. Yahweh Ratazah, we almost out of here on our way home. Kal halal Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai Ba'ashem HaKadosh. Double honors unto the elders and apostles of Great Millstone who teach this 100% truth, ruling well. Salutations to the hopeful elect. Shalom, Yasharallah. Don't take that vaccine. And of course, don't take that chip.
They humbly depict themselves as a small, existentially threatened country surrounded by bloodthirsty killers who want to eradicate her from existence. They profess that they want to be friends with Saudi Arabia, and yet all Israeli governments are the last of the Western colonizing powers of the Middle East. Israeli governments have arrested thousands of the inhabitants of the lands they are colonizing and incarcerated them in concentration camps under the flimsiest of security accusations, young and old, women and men, who are rotting there without recourse to justice.
At the beginning of my remark, I would like to express my regret on the comments of the Saudi representative, the foreign minister. I don't believe that they reflect the spirit and the changes taking place in the Middle East.
You cannot treat an open wound with palliatives and painkillers. For that to happen, the Arab Peace Initiative must be implemented with regard to Palestine.